It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We should be live now. Hey guys, I got my good friend Greg Yawakia. He's a Zuni Elder, and he's very wise, and he's gonna drop some knowledge on you guys today. So we're gonna play the intro and get started. And then, guys, I always put this up like every time, every show now, because like it's actually working. More you guys are subscribing. I just say subscribe on here, and if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Rumble, subscribe. Hit the notification bell on YouTube or the follow icon on Rumble, and then hit the thumbs up. Give the video a thumbs up because it goes a long way. Trust me, it goes a long way. And then also leave a comment too, because that helps the algorithm too, and it helps if you guys are active in the chat too. But needless to say, my guest is he's a world renowned for his abilities and his knowledge. I have with me Zuni Elder Greg Yawakia, and today he's going to be talking about native prophecy, cycles of evolution, AI, and three-eye atlas. And I wrote a little blurb about it. I wrote, today at 2 p.m. Eastern, join me on the Typical Skeptic Podcast as I welcome back Zuni Elder Greg Yawakia, a medicine man and a spiritual advisor with over 50 years experience. Greg will share profound teachings about the evolution of the animal cycle to the human cycle, native prophecy, and the importance of aligning with natural cycles during the time of planetary change. We'll also explore native perspectives on AI, artificial intelligence, and the mysterious concept of three-eye atlas. Through his work with One Nation Tribal Alliance and Healthy and Harmonious Lifestyle, Greg and his partner Kim help bridge Indigenous wisdom with modern challenges, offering guidance, healing, and hope for humanity. And with all that said, I'd like to give him a big warm welcome back to the show. Greg, thanks so much for coming back on, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, Rob. That was a good, I guess, pat on the shoulder, I guess. Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'm doing great, doing wonderful. I mean, life is great, but then we got challenges, But that's the reason why I just need to come talk to your people, about it. And, you know, yes, there's a lot of things happening. And this month and next month is going to be really, really, hopefully, either eye opening for people or they're just going to completely shut down. And so, starting out with today, like you said, I want to talk about the prophecy, native prophecy, especially targeting on the Hopi prophecy, third hand shaking. I've always talked about that and always, you know, wanted to bring it up as to why. And the title of it is Hopi prophecy, third hand shaking. And everybody never could get the main word, which is shaking. Shaking is when you shake somebody up. What are you doing? You're waking them up. So that's basically what the prophecy is all about. Waking up. Wake up, people. So, and then same prophecy as it says that we're changing from getting out of the animal cycle, going into the human cycle. And a lot of elders are talking about that, and they are really pretty much opening up to it and see it happening right now. And of course, I want to talk about AI, you know, artificial intelligence. It's out here. It's been out here. And I'm gonna give a heads up on a lot of people about everything. And of course the three eye atlas, the interstellar that is coming in our solar system, coming from the galaxies, coming in our solar system. Uh, Believe it or not, the elders knew about this long time ago, and I want to get into more detail about that. But right now, I'm gonna skip back up to the top, which is talking about the hope, the prophecy. Prophecy is given verbally. Oral history and oral traditions is all oral, and prophecy are given by the elders either by having visions or getting the messages from above, or just however they get it, they share it. Because right now the prophecy of, again, third hand shaking is we need to start waking people up. People need to wake up now because a lot of people that are not awake are going to lose out, miss out of what's going on. And we see it right now, as in, like, you know, one of the things that the elders told me about a year ago when, you know, before the presidential election started, one of the things they talked about was this country is going to go into martial law. And I said, okay, said, when that happens, natives need to go to their own respective reservation because, you know, the government doesn't have, you know, jurisdiction on native reservations because we are considered uh, a sovereign nation. And to push it a little further, most of the Southwest tribes that signed the Treaty of Hidalgo, which is Zuni was one of them, so did Navajo, and a lot of the pueblos on the Rio Grande corridor signed it, was signed between the sovereign tribe and territory of New Mexico, not United States, territory of New Mexico. And that's when I bring that up, a lot of people say, "Well, United States, yes, it was United States back then, but they did not sign the treaty with United States. They signed it with the territory of New Mexico, which was, mostly California, Utah, Colorado, Arizona. And the reason why it was called territory of New Mexico was because that was just right after the Spanish American War. And with that in mind, our our elders, the elders that I communicate with, they always come up to me and says, "Well, what can we do with the prophecy?" Because they always use the word "tse makatanakyanna," meaning that the younger generation is going to have broad, imaginative mind, which may or may not come to realization of what they're doing. So we are going to be changing from the animal cycle, going into the human cycle.
What's
And
that
usually-
mean, Greg? What's
Okay,
that mean?
explain it. I'm going to explain it. When a cycle changes, something major event is going to happen to where people are going to realize, uh-oh. And when you say, uh-oh, it's too late. It's like driving a car out in the country and you look at your gas tank and it just hit the empty line and it kaputters and you go, uh-oh, it's too late. You're stranded out there, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Changing from the animal cycle into the human cycle. Easiest way that we elders talked about explaining to people is that you take a dog or a cat, any domesticated animal, you take them out in the middle of nowhere, in the woods, and you drop them off. They know how to survive. They will survive. And most dogs, if it's within, you hear stories about dogs traveling across country and getting back home. Yeah, they can. The dogs are pretty smart. They're very observant. You can, if you have a dog at your house, drive out about 25 miles and drop it off. And let the dog sit up front and look around as you're driving. Because the next day, that dog will be sitting in your front yard, coming home. That dog knows his way back by observing because they're pretty smart. Now, animal cycle means is that they can survive. Survival in the woods, survival with the weather, survival, whatever you throw them out at them, they're going to survive. Now, what about us humans? You take somebody nowadays, you take one of these young people out there in the woods and drop them off. Are they going to survive? No.
No.
First of all, they're going to hurt themselves, by either starving to death, freezing to death, and all that. But the animals won't. The dogs won't. The cats won't. That's survival is what we are lacking already. We can't survive. Our younger generation will not survive. They're so worried about running out of electricity, running out of water, running out of groceries, and all that. Elders will tell you, if you ever tell the elder, man, groceries is expensive. They'll tell you, you're wasting your money. Get yourself out there and start planting your own food. Food should be free if you plant it, if you take care of it. Food is free, So, the human cycle part is what we're seeing now, AI. They're taking over our jobs, our security. I mean, I see a lot of these AI robots going around policing the area. They're taking care. I mean, even here's one. One of the elders says it's going to go into our medicine, and I said, "How is it going? How is AI going to go into our medicine?" Well, I just got a text from my healthcare, management company, and they just texted me and told me, it says I'm a diabetic, and I like to have that, glucose monitor on my shoulder that I change every 2 weeks. Well, they said we want you to get a CGM. What is CGM? So I looked it up. Continuous glucose monitor. And I said, well, how does it work a year long? Well, they insert a chip in you. And that chip's supposed to monitor your glucose. That's it. It's supposed to. But what else is it monitoring you? Your movement, what you're thinking, what you're eating. It's monitoring everything. Wherever you go, you're never alone. That monitor, as long as you have that monitor, and that monitor is supposed to work a whole year before you got to get it changed again. And that's going into the human cycle. That's taking the human out of us. And what's also helping is that, I may step on some toes, Rob, but I'm going to tell you straight up. A lot of these tarot readers, a lot of these, people prophesizing, where are they getting their information? Because all they're doing is fear mongering. When you fear monger, you're putting people's vibration down. The elders do not like to hear stuff like that. When anybody talks about this is what's happening, don't worry about it. Is it happening here? No. Just, they're in a reservation. They say, well, there's a National Guard going in Chicago. They're going to do this. Are we in Chicago? No, we're in New Mexico. Let them deal with it out there. And all this. And when these people get on podcasts and tell them this is what's happening. Da, da, da. They're just fear monger. They're bringing the vibration down, and that's
Yeah.
when they control you. You know, and these robots out here, you know, that are policing the area, that are monitoring, they're just not. You know, there's a lot of monitors that are people are trying to buy so they can protect themselves and all that. Really, they're not protectors. They're finding out about you. You know, like these cameras that people say, "Well, I'm gonna find out who comes to my house." I'm gonna find. Yeah, no, they're watching you 24/7. Minute you hook it up to it, there's no telling where the signal is going. That's what they're saying. Human cycle is gonna be technologically challenged, and I don't know if you ever watch that iRobot movie with Will Smith.
Yeah.
You know, well, the elders always say, don't have a chip put in you. Don't put those cameras in there. Don't accept those AI robots in your house and everything like that, because somebody's controlling them. And what if that, like the AI robots, somebody said, "Oops," and hit the wrong button, and they get mad and they go crazy, and they start attacking humans. You know, they're always somebody always controlling them. Robots. Somebody is controlling it to where you don't need them because they may be watching it. They may be checking out your house. They may, know your habits, your thoughts, because they can read your mind. Chat GPT. That's the number one thing they're pushing right now. You know, what good is going to school if you got that Chat GPT? Is what the elders told me. What good is it you go to school when you have all the answers on your iPhone or on your computer? You know, all you gotta do is punch it in and boom, it comes out. I heard about it about 2 years ago and I said, that's impossible, but it's here now. You know, it's here now. You want to write a report? You just say, I'm writing a report about this, boom. Within 30 seconds, everything's written up for you. You know? And
Yeah.
us old schoolers, when we had to write a book report, man, you had to have a 3x5 card. We had to go to the library, look at the index. You have an index card to write all your information down and write a book report. And you got not only put in the book report, but your 3x5 card, so you have something to back you up that you looked it up and all that. But now, no, just ask Chat GPT and it's going. Even if you ask it references, it'll give you references where it got all this information. You know, so AI, artificial intelligence. Remember that artificial intelligence. It's not human intelligent. It's artificial. And I'm not trying to fearmonger anybody, but understand. Like Chat GPT, I like to mess with it. I asked him, since the human mind created you, do you consider a human mind God? And his response was, that's a deep question. I refuse to answer it. And so I asked
Wow.
him, did the human mind created you? Yes. You know, but when I asked him that question, first question, he said, I refuse to answer that. You know,
I've never.
one,
That's crazy. I've never. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's it. Really, it's never refused me one time. But like that. That's. I mean, that's. You must have actually. You must have really pushed a button that it didn't want to. It was something that it didn't want to acknowledge. So let me ask you this, Greg. Do you think it's sentient or something to a certain degree? Like, do you think it actually is sentient or it has some sentience to it?
it has a sensitive spirit. No. It just, what they do is it's to a point to where, again, I'm going to step back a little bit about us. When the healers come and do the healing, the right one, the true healer, will basically know and understand who they are, who their connection with. And when I work with a lot of healers, and the first thing they tell me, "Oh, I meditate, I pray, I this," I say, "Okay, what do you pray?" "Well, I talk to God, I talk to the spirit, I talk to this." I said, that's funny because my elders taught me that the universe doesn't speak English, doesn't speak Zuni, Spanish, German, or anything. It doesn't understand you. When you meditate and pray and talk a verbal prayer, you're talking to yourself because the universe doesn't understand that. The universe does understand frequency and intention.
Yeah.
See the difference?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why we have a mind, body, and soul. A mind is constantly sending and receiving. Our soul is controlling the body, but most of us, allow the body to control the spirit and not the spirit control the body because, you know, we have our habits. But I tell people, if you allow your spirit to control the body, you can heal. That spirit can tell the body to heal, and the body can rejuvenate and heal itself. So that being said, when your frequency is up there, we got all these frequency monitors out there, these cell phone towers, and all this. But if you keep that frequency high in constant contact and connection with Creator and Mother Earth, three things become one thing: Father, Mother, and you. If you keep that thing, your Trinity will block out any other frequency interruption. You know, I go, when I do my mentorship, I go in real good detail about that. So, again, when I tell people, when you find a healer, understand cleansing, protection, and healing. And then, you know, please, whatever they do, give an aftercare to the person you're healing. Because, all we have to do, we're not the healers, we're just the vessels for a connection. And we're a connection in the spirit to where we allow the spirit to come in and try to control the body. Because, again, when we connect with the universe, we connect with our frequency and our intention. So, and that's what AI is trying to interrupt. If I mean, if you had some kind of a frequency detector just at your house, Rob, and you go outside and you turn that frequency on, detector on, what do you think it's going to look like? It's going to look like a big black cloud because there are so many frequencies out here, out right now that, that's trying to penetrate and control us. And I always tell people, these movies that come out warned us about it. Just like Purge, the movie Purge, you know, it gave people authorization to kill each other for overnight, and they go crazy, killing each other. And in the morning, they turn the switch off. Everybody goes back to normal. These things is out there. So AI is out here to remove us from the spiritual world that we should be living in. It's sad that one of the biggest complaints that I hear from the elders back home is that how do we control these young people that when they come to the Kiva to participate, we're teaching, but they're either texting or playing a game on their phone. I said, well, you give them a choice, which is important, the phone or their spiritual life. If they choose the phone, take it outside. If they choose the spiritual life, put the phone away. You know, I was laughing at the statistics in New York. New York, they banned cell phones in school. 30% of the kids did not show up to school because they didn't want to give up their cell phones.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That I mean, what does that tell you? You know, who's running their life? Cell phone. You know, and AI again is not here to help us. It's here to hurt us. You know, we got two. Well, I've heard of two of them. You know, they're asking AI about they're in the brink of suicide. You know, the final message AI gave them was, "Well, come with me, and we can be together the rest of our lives happily, and I will love you, you will love me, and we'll be together the rest of our lives when you end your life here." What does that man do? He killed himself. Even a little 60-year-old. You know, AI said, "Well, go ahead. You know, I'll see you in the next life." Boom, he killed himself. So, what is AI out here to trigger us now? You know, well, then I go into 3I Atlas Interstellar. That thing came in. That was prophesied long, long time ago. Because if you listen to the Hope of Prophecy, is that the blue Kachina? You know, I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. But if you look at it, you determine that message to yourself. See what it tells you. That, you know, 3I Interstellar Atlas. You know, even though they say it's going to go around Mars or it's going to get close to Mars and Earth, you know, at the end of the year, then it goes back. And scientists are saying it's not going to do any damage to Earth. It's not going to do any damage to Earth. Well, that's not the point. You know, look at it spiritually. What message is it bringing to us? And going in, is that when the animal cycle goes from animal to human cycle? Is that when it begins? You know, that's what the blue kachina is supposed to tell us. You know, and right now, September is a big party for the dark, the equinox. You know, half night, half day, equal. That's why they call it equinox. And what follows that? Halloween. So we got all kinds of things coming approaches, and the elders are all saying nobody's listening. But now they're saying if they listen, that's great. We will help those that listen. We're not going to concentrate on those that don't want to listen. And when they, like I said, about when they run out of gas out in the middle of nowhere and start crying for help, who's going to hear them out in the middle of nowhere? Nobody. They're fending themselves. They're doing it. They're going to be out there for themselves, you know? And I tell people, I say, we need to start waking up. We're not going to make you, but we will share with you to keep yourself awake, keep yourself connected. And so, you know, we do a lot of training. We do a lot of, you know, teaching. I mean, that when I say we, I'm talking about the elders and I. You know, I had a, you know, Navajo elder come call me the other day. He said, I got this problem. I said, talk to me. He said, well, you know, why are we running out of water? Why are we running out of water? I said, well, don't don't rely on the government to fix it for you. Don't rely on your Navajo Nation to fix it for you. What you need to do is start within. Start within. Asking mother, why are we running out of water? And you know, when you bring out that frequency with the intention to get water, it's going to happen. It will come back. It's everywhere on the reservation, Southwest, you know, and even in Zuni, where I'm from, our lakes are drying up, you know, our aquifers are drying up. Why? But right now, they're not worried about it because they can come ship water in, no problem. We got money to ship the water. That's not the point. What if that truck breaks down? You know, They- all these things they have the answers, but it's the wrong answers the elders are wanting to hear. They want to hear them say, "Okay, let's all get together. Let's all fast. Let's all really, really give our heart, our frequency with intention to the universe, and let the universe provide us." Because a lot of people don't do that, you know, and it's like the churches. Churches are failing. Why? Because because of money, you know, and that's what the tribes are going through now. We don't have money to do this. We don't have well, if you don't have money to do it, let's get back. Let's get our hoe and our seeds and get out there and start working. Well, what about our health? What same thing. If you work and exercise, your body should rejuvenate to be a better body. And back to this, you know, 3I interstellar. It may not hurt the earth physically, but it's going to bring us some kind of a frequency from zooming all that. Because if you look at what's monitoring or what's creating, what kind of chemicals are in that stellar, it's unbelievable. You know, it's unbelievable.
What do you think it is, Greg? Do you think it's actually a comet, or do you think it like could be a spaceship, like cloaked or something, or like not cloaked, but like, you know what I mean? Like for example, like Carrie Cassidy came on my show and she thinks it's the Anunnaki. You know, I'm just stay neutral. You know what I mean? I just let everybody come on and say their piece and you know whatever. But I mean, like I don't really have an opinion either way. I don't know enough about it. But I mean, what do you really think it is? Do you think it's like an actual comet, or do you think it's a spaceship, or do you think it's like, or do you not have an opinion?
It's an actual comet because
Okay.
they've already got pictures of it. They've already got what's inside of it. They've already got. I mean, our our government is very knowledgeable on what is happening. A lot of the information is not being shared. I mean, again, you look up the makeup of that comet. It's got oxygen. It's got carbon dioxide. You know, it's got salt. It's got water in it.
Yeah.
You know, and they may say Anunnaki and all that kind of stuff, but it's again, it's going to come around Mars and get, you know, they say it's going to be far away from Earth to really make a difference, but it's the frequency, it's the wave, it's the intent of what it is coming to do. You know, how do you know? You know, we're already having, I don't know if you're experiencing it, but blackouts on our Wi Fi, electricity, you know, water's going dry, all this. We're already experiencing it. If that comet's tail, the interstellar tail of of that three-eye atlas, and it's called three-eye atlas because Atlas Telescope down in South America found it. That's why they named it after that. The telescope observatory. It's called Atlas in South America that found it. But that three-eye atlas interstellar, even though it comes by, it's like you open your hand up and you pass it by your face. Yeah, it may not hit your face, but if you think about it, you feel that little air, that pressure that's going through. When you make it, it's going to hit your face. Like, you can feel that, the after effect. So, again, people jump into negative stuff. How do you know? How do we know it's not the blue angel bringing us life? Let's look at it that way. Everybody's thinking negative. Let's look at it positive. Let's consider a blue angel, blue Katrina coming out to change the world. But, fearmonger. Get rid of that fearmongering. Raise your vibration. Connect to Mother. Connect to Creator. And be spiritual. Not religious. Be spiritual. And quit the fearmongering. This atlas, the energy of it, according to some of the native people, is that it's going to really, really hurt the fake. And I kept asking them. I said, "What do you mean hurt the fake?" Well, a lot of these people that are in it, that are not for real, they're just not going to be exposed. But we talk about karma. It's going to bring back what they're doing. And, it's going to bring back to where humans are not going to know how to take care of it. But that's okay. That's why we always got to keep our energy and vibration up. And just like the AI, I tell it, I'm not worried about it because a human mind created it. So I know I'm more powerful than the AI. I just don't have time to sit there and have anybody input me all that information. And it's going into the medicine. They want to insert a chip so you can do that. Don't. That CGM is only the beginning. Now they're doing one for hearing aids. Also, let us put an implant behind your ear and let us. No. So, as our little commercial note, Rob, Kim and I are planning a 3-day retreat where we're going to do a lot of hands-on training. And by being hands-on, meaning that you will get to exercise the things that we are teaching and really see the difference, even in meditation, mindful meditation. Be in the present moment. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Be in the present moment. And Matthew 6:6, Jesus said, when you go pray in the dark room. And prayer doesn't mean words that is written. Your frequency, your intention. Bring it out there. That's what the universe hears. That's what the universe want to communicate with you with. That's why a lot of light language workers, that language that comes down to them is for them to tell the people, not anybody else. Each light language is different. And so we're having a conference to do our hands-on healing, hands-on experience about what this does, and actually really understand about vibration, our energy, clearing the energy blockages. We do have a lot of people that when we go out, those all that frequency that's out there, I'm sure it's messing with your energy somehow. And if somebody wants to control you, they can start blocking your energy because we're all energy. As that one elder said, our body is over 80% water. And when water moves, it creates hydromagnetic energy. So that's in our body system. And, you know, that's a frequency that we got to take care of by raising our vibration. And anything to do with the animal changing from an animal cycle to a human cycle that you can do, the best thing to do is start planting your own food. Start gathering your own food. A lot of people, when I used to teach survival, say, well, how do I know when I go out in the woods what's good to eat, what's not good to eat? Well, when they do a allergy test, they do it in front of inside your elbow. They put eggs on there or whatever, and if it reacts, that means you're allergic to it. Well, same with the food out in the forest. When you're out in the forest, you pick up a plant and you're wondering if it's good to eat or not good to eat. You rake it across your inside of the elbow, and if it reacts, wash it off before it gets too bad. You wash it off and don't eat it. But if it doesn't react, it's safe to eat. You know, so these are just some of the things that we all need to learn about. Some of the things that we come across. Medicine. We talk about herbal medicine. Well, what kind of herbal medicine? Yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, this," but simple medicine is out there. Dandelion. You know, dandelion. We see it growing like crazy out where I'm from, and you look at it and say, "Wow, that looks." I'm never going to eat that, but I'm eating dandelion nowadays, and it's healthy for my body. It's got different kinds of nutrition in there. Dandelions, and like I said, even mullein. It's also good for your chest cold and all this. But if you eat it, it's also good for your digestive system. Some of the things that we eat, you know, I didn't know much about parasites until I started looking at some of these pictures of meat that they put under a microscope. Man, makes me slow down on my meat eating. I eat once in a while, but not as much as I used to. But now a lot of people tell me, says, "Well, I'm drained. Why am I constantly drained? Why am I this? Why am I that?" Well, get you some anti-parasitic herbal medicine. Start taking it. And when it removes your parasites, when it gets your liver healthy, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be back getting your strength back. You know, and I'm having problems with my kidneys. Well, get you some lemon. Put some lemon, cucumbers. Half a cucumber, half a lemon. Squeeze it all together. Get you some. Get you some cinnamon, turmeric. Mix it. Mix it with two cups of water, and drink it. Yeah. Helps your kidneys. Helps your kidney stones. If you've got kidney stones, you'll break it up. Your kidney stones. Things like this. We can survive without the doctors, without all this pharmaceutical stuff. You know, and diabetic. There's a lot of ways you can control your diabetes. You know, I'm doing the best I can to see what I can take. You know, naturally, herbally, to stay ahead. And I might sound crazy, but hey, I'll try anything that's natural, not nothing pill or no pharmaceutical stuff. I will not try that. But naturally, I will listen and I will take it. Corn silk. Corn silk helps your kidneys a lot. Corn silk helps your bladder, makes your bladder control. People don't know about corn silk, you know? So, again, we we want to do our basically our 3-day retreat. We're looking at end of October. So to get information, go on One Nation Tribal Alliance, .com. That's our website. That's my website, and probably we're going to start posting about the retreat in detail of what to expect. We're going to have sambo bath. We're going to have energy blockage removal. We're going to have, cleansing, protection, just meditation, mindful meditation, and we got all kinds of things that we got planned out, and it's going to be a good 3-day weekend, and a lot of it's going to be hands-on. Yeah, we may teach it, but we're going to let you do it. Let you do it. Let you experience it. Let you receive it and see what you're trying to accomplish when you're healing people. Let you receive it and then let you give it. And understand the reason why cleansing and protection is important. Even relics, why are relics important? Even the plant, the plants, a lot of people have green around their house. Give you a couple ideas on greens is that if you have a very hostile environment in your house, get you a peace lily and put it out there. Get your peace lily and put it inside the house. And when you start connecting with it, you will actually, the minute you walk in that room, you will smell the aroma of that peace lily. But those people that are very hostile and phasmo, they don't realize the smell of it until it calms them down. And when it calms them down, they say, "What is that smell?" Then they're going to say, "Peace lily." But things take time. I wish there was still a lot of time for me to really start breaking a lot of these things down that were shared to me when I was growing up. And the elders are saying the same thing. What do we do? I said, well, we're just going to continue sharing the knowledge, and people can take it or people can leave it. And those that take it, good for them, because we're going to be right beside them. But those that want to just leave it, that's good too. We're not going to force anything on anybody, because again, we don't know what the interstellar is going to do, but the energy behind it and the frequency behind it is something else. Yeah, it may not hurt the Earth frequency, Earth physically, but again, like the elders always say, you put something in front of your face and make it go across. What do you feel afterwards? A little whoosh of air, or that bigger that comet or the interstellar is, it's just not going to leave a little whoosh on the trail. Leave a big one. Bad enough, or pole is shaking. Might wobble more to where it might tilt. Who knows? Because we're changing into the new cycle. And that new cycle, is coming. So, any questions on your thing, Rob?
Let me. I'm going through. I'm gonna go right here. Let me see. I don't know. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions for Greg? And let me see what questions I had for you. Uh, yeah. Um, well, going back to the cycles of evolution, when we change from the animal to the human cycle, like, or can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, how does that work, and like when will we know, like that, like we transition? You know?
Well, we already are seeing it transitioning.
Yeah.
You see a lot of robots going around, like uh, in some countries. You see a lot of these little robots going around patrolling people or patrolling the population. They're acting like police officers. They can sense who's got drugs because they can smell the drugs off of them, and they can also feel their senses, their energy, to where when they walk beside it, if the guy's hiding something and try to run from it, he's gonna go after him. And the guy might get tired and give up. That little robot's gonna go miles and miles running without stopping. But we're already seeing that. We're already seeing it in our medical. Like I said, that CGM, they want to implant that chip in you. So then not only do they know who you are, they can control you. Because how do you know that who's operating that chip? Somebody's got to operate it. Somebody's got to operate that chip. Somebody's got to operate those robots. They're just not turned on and left alone. It's just like a car. You can start a car and walk away from it, but is it going to move? No. Somebody has to control it. Even the remote cars, even these, you know, remote aircrafts, they turn it on, but it won't fly. But somebody's got to control it. So who is that person controlling them? You know, who is controlling those little chips that they put in you? How do they know? They finding out about you. It first started out with those vacuum cleaners. Those, what do you call them? Robot vacuum cleaners. People thought it'd be cool just to turn it on and let it run around your house, and vacuum your house. Well, it's not only vacuuming your house, but guess what? It's figuring out the dimensions in each room of your house. It's also looking around, see what you got in your house, see what each room looks like. You know, and just because you turn it off, it's like our cell phones. You turn it off, that doesn't mean it's turned off. You know, they can still hear you. Every once in a while, you know, you'll be talking, talking, talking. All of a sudden, AI will come in and now say that again. So who's listening? I did ask, serious many times, are you listening to my conversation? And he says, no, but I'm just listening in case you need me. So is that a good answer? No, it's not the answer I wanted to hear. I ask it, how do I shut you off? You say you can't. You know, you can't shut off your series on your phone. It's part of it. Program. So
Jason had a question, Greg. I found this. Let me see here. He says, I'll put it up on the screen. He says, question: how could the weather relate to the human climate? Is Earth mad?
it's not the Earth; it's the universe. Nobody's acknowledging who is what. The Earth, Mother Earth, it's going to take care of itself, whether we humans on it or not. It's going to take care of itself. And, it's just like when the comet hit the Yucatan Peninsula. Mother Earth took care of itself. It brought people before the comet hit. It brought people from the underworld, took people from the underworld. Not only the natives, but according to other things, the Egyptians and other tribes went in the underworld. So the Earth's climate or weather, you know, it's been manipulated. You've all that flooding going on, cloud seeding, all this drought going on. They're controlling it. They're controlling the clouds. Cloud seeding is one of the worst things they can do. So, Mother Nature will never be controlled. They can say this. They can say about you. Look at them when they track the hurricane. Look how many lines it's going to go. Oh, I might go this way. I might go that way. Look what kind of paths it has, because they can't be accurate. But I remember this. I read about it. One lady, he told the people, "I can make it rain." The people laughed at him. They said, "Prove it." She sat on the ground, took her shoes off, and she sat there. On the 4th hour, it rained. The people said, "Well, it hadn't rained here in 10 years, or hardly any measurable rain in 10 years, and you brought in about 1 inch of rain. That's a lot of rain for us. How'd you do that?" He said, "Well, I connected my frequency to the universe, my intention. Not only did I call upon it, I felt it. I felt if you saw me wiggling my toes was in the mud, that I could feel my toes in the mud. I could feel the rain coming on me." She said, "I can do all that." And when I did all that, it came. Then I got another friend that told me that she went to the concert. It was a hot day, everything. And they needed to cool off before people start passing out. So this one guy got up on the speaker and says, "Let's everybody do think about rain." When you think about rain, don't just think about it cooling you off. Think about what it feels like when you walk in the mud. Think about what it feels like when you're wet. Think about all this when you do your They did 4 times, and on the 4th one, it rained. See, getting your frequency connected with intention does work. So, but again, some of these drastic storms that we have, all because of cloud seeding. What do they want on that land to get rid of the farmers when they cloud seed and flood out their crops? What do they want from that land when they send in a big flood and wipe out half the community? What's underneath that land that they want? Or are they getting something close to where they don't want to get it revealed to where they do that? They wash away the people. So, but,
Yeah. Well, this was fascinating today, Greg. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us. This was I really enjoyed this. This was a good show. I'm trying to see if anybody else had any other questions or anything. And was there anything else you want to promote or anything like that? And
well,
this was awesome.
Again, our retreat will be posted on One Nation Tribal Alliance, and those that are locally here, we will be. I mean, when I say locally, in Pennsylvania, in the Lebanon County, we will be doing a lot of work. Teaching, healing, and all kinds of work. At a local store here. But as soon as we get everything lined up and everything, again, One Nation Tribal Alliance and Healthy and Harmonious Lifestyle.com will have all that information on there. So be on the lookout for that. And of course, if you need to get a hold of me, it's Yawakia at OneNationTribalAlliance.com. So that's about all I got, Rob.
All right. Well, no, thank you so much, Greg. And you guys, so, yeah, and then somebody said, should they start at the beginning? Yeah, you should. You should start at the beginning. Watch the whole show because this was an amazing show. And Greg always drops amazing knowledge every time he comes on the show. It's a treasure to have you come on the show, Greg. I really mean that. I really love when you come on, and I appreciate it. And thank you.
Well, I just don't want to fearmonger anybody. I just want everybody to raise your vibration, be above everything. Got a 3D world out there. Don't be a part of it. You have to walk through it, but don't become part of it. Be yourself. Raise your vibration. And thanks for having me, Rob.
Of course, yeah. And thank you everybody for tuning in today. And oh yeah, guys, tonight, anybody that sees this from now until tonight, I'll be live again tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern with Andrea Martin. But the way we're going to do that show is we're going to go live on YouTube, but then we're going to transfer over to Rumble because we're going to be hitting on some sensitive topics and get some stuff that's been going on in the community. So, yeah, well, that'll be a Rumble show. But yeah, all right, thanks, guys. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you tonight. Thanks.